Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and in today's video, we continue with our series of episodes from the 2024 Baltimore Comic-Con. In this episode, it's going to be the second in a set of smaller videos where I go and meet the creators and get books signed. And like I said in the previous episode, there were so many artists that I met that I decided to break these down into smaller groups so the videos wouldn't go too long. I don't want you guys having to sit there for too long and get too bored. So what I'm going to do is do these small batches of videos where I get to talk with the creators, get my book signed, and things like that. So sit back and enjoy the footage, and I'll be right back for the show and tell.
I don't want to risk getting the card marked.
Just hop back on there, like he does sports cards.
Yeah.
Does that and does like estate sales. So I've been like doing like a once a week hop on a show with him, and just see what happens. Like I talk about comics and he talk about cards and just shenanigans.
Yeah.
So I might do that. Otherwise, it's just life, kids, this chaos.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's awesome.
But I love it. It's hard, but it's phenomenal. All right, so 5 total.
Yeah, let me get you a card.
All right, card. Oh, card.
Card, yeah.
Okay. So 50 plus tax, my friend. Thank you. Been have a good day so far?
Yeah, it's been fun. No, you know, you've done this long enough. It's nothing but standing in line.
Yeah, man, that's the perks, right? Line con.
I saw you up in at Fan Expo up in Philly.
I was.
You were working with the Ghost Machine guys.
It was fun.
I was talking with the guy who runs this show, Mark, from Coach Comics Collectibles.
Yes.
He said, right after I went up there, he said that he was actually in talks with Jeff Johns and that whole group. They were trying to get him here, and it's like it was very. They don't say anything, but it's like, oh, I'm so glad I went up there now.
Yeah, like they make the they'll make the trip, but it's good. Like, I mean, what a talent pool, right? Like all those people in one
in one place. That was amazing.
It's phenomenal.
I mean, it's still good to see Tomasi here. I mean,
yeah, it's a great show. Yeah, it's the best.
She said, "Don't try to kangaroo. Too gamey."
Hey Ryan, how you doing? Pretty good. I got a few things for you there.
All right, cool. Anywhere?
Yeah, anywhere on here. Been working on this book been doing this for almost 25 years, you know.
No way.
Stan, I've got some of the old, Silver Age artists. Todd. He was at Baltimore Comic Con like 20 years ago.
Oh, was he?
For that.
Nice.
Bill Sienkiewicz, you know.
Perfect, dude. That's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
So the 30 card
Yes.
tax the card. Thank you. Yeah, like I think after today, you gotta be full. So if you want to grab anything, my friend.
Now you're up at Fan Expo too, right? For in Philly, right?
I was, yeah.
I saw that line. That was a pretty good line you had.
Yeah, that was a fun con, dude. It's been a while since I've done Philly as well. Most of these shows, it's been a long time.
It's the first time I'd been up there in 30 years for one of their shows that were up there. Yeah. I mean, it went through, it was Comics Fest back in 93, 94, went to Wizard World for a million years, and then finally to Fan Expo. So it's a good time. Great stuff, man.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Enjoy all the work. Thank you.
Need a signature?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Sure, jump in there.
How much do I owe you for it?
I think they're charging $5.
Okay. Thanks. It'll match the Elena alternate to this. So now I've got both of them. I've had that one for a long time since you've been coming here for a lot of years.
I still love that book. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I'll step down there and give them. Thanks, JJ.
Real good. Yeah, that's usually how it is.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'll see you. Okay.
Ended up not being as enjoyable as I would have liked. When you,
really?
Well, if you can have all 3 days to spread out. I was trying to condense it all down into a day and a half. So.
I got you.
And every time I went by, you had a line. I'm like, oh, and then I came back, and then you were gone.
I have a line. I usually.
That it was very crowded in there because I think Rick Parker was down towards the end near you, and I went down there, and he took forever. And I was like, I came back, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
So,
normally I'm like go through it super fast. So.
It must have been the right moment.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, Dave.
Cool.
I remember about him is he had his
I think your renditions that you've done for the Xbox show are right up there with some of Walter's.
Well, I don't know. Walter is kind of like, you know, he's a legend. I'm a footnote. And I always think that what's neat with Walter is he gave him that little tiny like pug nose. I think he's trying to do a little bit of a skull with him, you know, like almost like it's a little bit of a skull. It doesn't know me from an angle, apparently.
One of these days I got to get drawing a Ritz skull.
Well, you know what? I might want to sign a little bit if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just because I see some guys definitely waiting for signatures, and I don't want them to have to wait.
Well, I appreciate it, Brandon.
No problem.
I just got the 2 there.
Okay. And is it? You want it definitely here somewhere?
Yeah, definitely there.
All right. I'm going to do it along the bottom if
Okay.
that's okay. How many signatures we got? 2, it looks like, for
$2
this gentleman.
Thanks. I appreciate you squeezing me in there.
Yeah, I don't want you guys to have to wait 10 minutes for signatures if you can help it.
I'll step out. I've had that junior for a long time. I probably got that here in Baltimore back, what, 08, 09, somewhere, whenever he came here.
Well, it's fun to do
Because
too.
I was
that's
singing,
fun to do.
I've been coming since 11,
I know some people
and
that,
I haven't seen it.
you know, they definitely aren't enjoying
They only did it once.
I was singing, you did some traveling to get that problem.
Well, I'm local here, but I got him here, and then he's been doing Heroes Con for the last few years. So, but that one is an old one. So, yeah.
Good choices in books.
No, not bad. And this is what I enjoy these days anymore is not just getting a book signed. It's like getting the multiple creators on the books.
Right.
That's more fun, I think.
Yeah, because I've done that on some of mine with stuff, and like I think it's X Factor Annual number 3, the Evolutionary War.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, and I've gotten like June and Paris Collins and Roy, I think, and Al Milgram will sign it.
Yep.
So it's like a specialty one, and of course Walter because he did the cover.
He did the cover, right? I remember that. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's a lot of fun. I think the one I started a couple years ago, actually down at Heroes, I started, and I continue to this day. I should have started it years ago because too many people have already passed. But I did the Heroes for Hope X-Men book, you know, with that Art Adams cover and everything. And I counted it the other day, and I'm up to, it's either 20 or 22 autographs on there. Because I was sitting there going, if I ever wanted to get this CGC, it's like, you know, they would have to be $20 a signature to get that authenticated. Like, I don't know if I'd ever want to do it just because we're talking over $400 just for that. But so it was a fun jam piece.
I've thought about that in some respects, and then there's other books though that I just am happy with all the signatures all over it and stuff. It would be nice to get it in something I can hang on the wall.
Yeah, that's true. I do a lot of prints too, so you go to my house and I've got these 11 by 17s all over the place, and they're all signed. So, including Stan Sakai, I was going to say. Big fan. One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's too bad I ain't seen him in a couple of
Yeah.
years too.
He hasn't been out this way, though, since COVID.
No, he's really like a SoCal guy, but I know that I saw him every time I'd be at San Diego, and then he's just one of the sweetest guys. Like I remember like the first year I started going to the shows and stuff. Before I was even on X-Men, he was super sweet to me, and so he always remembers. He always runs up and hands me a sketchbook or something.
Nice.
And just, yeah, that's a. There's certain people that are I think of like as like the grandpa and grandma comics. Like they're always like making sure you're okay. And Walt and Louise Simonson are like that too. Even though they're not that, they were such sweet people. Like when I was first just sort of getting in the industry, they just unusually nice people.
That always helps. My wife's a big fan of Stan. She came in my place one year here years ago when I couldn't come, and she actually got autographs for me, including Stan. And he ended up doing this giant sketch in one of the artist edition books. You know, those things are full size.
Oh, yeah.
And he did a giant sketch of Asagi in the book, and you know, he didn't even charge her for it. I mean, it was.
He's a sweetheart. It's nice, and you know, I remember when he always had his wife when she passed away.
Yeah.
They were very. You know, it's something I realized as I've had more and more of a career. I've met guys I think are just great artists, like the best guys you could ever see in the world. And I kind of remember meeting them, but I'll remember the people that are just sweet and nice and working professionals that are like that, like so much more and so much better. It makes me think that, you know, that's what. Hey, John. Hey, Brandon. It makes me think that that's the legacy you should be going for if you can, you know.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Being one of those people that people go, God, what a great guy. He made the show fun. You know. You know what I mean.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Brandon. It's good talking to you too.
So let's just get right into it. First up was going to see Ryan Ottley, and I had a chance to see him up at the Philly Fan Expo, but his line actually was really long, and I had been concentrating on the Ghost Machine creators, the Jeff Johns, the Brian Hitches, the Jason Fabics, and everything, and I didn't get to get into his line. It just got to be really long. I had went up there on a Saturday, and it was very popular, and I don't blame him. He's been doing Invincible and very popular, not just for comics, but I saw a ton of people getting Funkos. That was in Philly. So on this Friday, and it's when I got most of my autographs done, I went over to get Ryan Ottley on a couple books. And I can't say that I'm the biggest fan. I'm not an Invincible fan of the comic book so much as I did enjoy the Amazon series. But I did have some books with some art that I wanted him to get signed. So I went over there, and if you watch the video, the very first person that I met before getting to Ryan Ottley was a gentleman. You saw him with the long beard right there. And if you guys are on YouTube, you know who that is. That is Skeff from, on YouTube, he was Skeff's Comic Book Knowledge. And he hasn't put out a video on YouTube for a year because he switched over. I think he's almost exclusively on Whatnot these days. He's an interesting person. I've got to meet him up in Philadelphia as well, but this is the first time I actually had the camera and I could take a little bit of footage with him in it. He was helping out this group of artists by taking the credit card information and everything. He was helping facilitate that, and that was my interaction with him leading up to getting Ryan Ottley. And Skeff is one of those people, if you've never watched any of his channels, look him up on YouTube, Skeff's Comic Book Knowledge. Honestly, he was one of those people. He was a newbie coming into comics several years ago, and he put out this channel, and it was about the same time that I considered putting out my own channel. And be quite honest, he was one of the people that influenced me on how I do my channel. Now, you may not be able to pick up any similarities and everything like that, but I tell you, he was very inspiring. He has a lot of charisma and a lot of energy when he brought what he brought to that YouTube channel. So it was cool getting to see him again and talk with him for a few minutes, and you caught part of that conversation that we were talking about. It was part midway through, and what we were talking about was the fact that he hasn't been on YouTube for over a year, and he's still considering going back and doing some other things with somebody. That's the part of the conversation that you were picking up on. But then we got to meet Ryan Ottley, and it's the first time I'd ever got to meet him. I don't know if he's ever been to Baltimore previously, but I'd have to go back and look at some of the old books, but he had never really been on my radar. But I did have a few books, even though I'm not an Invincible person, and I don't have hardly any books from Invincible, but I did have some books here. He had also been doing the art from one of the runs on the Incredible Hulk. So I did have some books here. So you've already seen these books in the previous video. I showed them when I got Art Adams to sign, but so you saw Adams right there, but right there, you see Ryan Ottley. These were variant covers that Art Adams did. I've got two of those, so Ryan signed both of those. And like I said, he had been working on the Hulk, so I've got this. This was a key issue. It's the first appearance of the Titan Hulk. I believe that's what that is. So I got him to sign that, and you can see he signed down there at the bottom. And I got one of the variant covers, which would be the first, I believe, the first cover appearance of Titan Hulk. This is issue number 6. And I also got, and I don't have it here out because it's always very awkward to bring out, but you saw it in the video. I got my 50, what is it? It's 50 fabulous years of Marvel coffee table book that I've been working on for the last 25 years. And you hear me talking about that as well. So those were the things I got from Ryan Ottley. And right around the corner was also Ryan Stegman. And again, it's not somebody who's really big on my radar, but big enough in Marvel that I ended up getting him in my Marvel book. And I apologize because, as I said, I'm not the best YouTuber sometimes. But I got in line, and you see me kind of behind the table, the line wrapped around his table, and you see me from behind kind of filming. I tried to film a lot right there of him doing this beautiful sketch that he was working on. But when I did the editing, I looked at the sketch. You can't really see it, what he's sketching. I could see it, but the camera didn't pick it up that well. So that's why I cut that video down. And by the time I turned the corner, he was ready for me, and I completely forgot to turn the camera back on, so I don't have any interaction with Ryan Stegman. But he did sign a couple books as well as that Marvel coffee table book. But I did have a couple copies of Ultimate Spider-Man #1. This is one of the variants. This is the family portrait for issue #1 of the new Ultimate Spider-Man. So I got him to sign both of those copies. I'm sure I've got some other stuff in the collection. In fact, I probably should have pulled out the brand new X-Men book that he's working on. I'll be quite honest, I'm not the biggest fan, and I've already dropped that X-Men book, I think, after issue 4. So I didn't bring any of those to get signed, but I did really like this portrait of Peter Parker and the rest of the Parker family there. Well, let's put these down. Then I went on to somebody who is pretty much a regular at the Baltimore Comic-Con for the last probably 10 to 15 years. The last few years he's been in and out a little bit, but it's one of my favorites. And I remember many years ago, back in the early 2000s, when I was working in a certain area here in Baltimore, I was near a comic book shop, Jeppy's. If you guys are familiar with Baltimore, Steve Jeppy is a giant with comic books. He owns Diamond Distribution, but he also had his own comic book shops for a lot of years, and they still had a shop open near where I was working, and I would run over there occasionally looking for books, and I remember this artist on this certain book that came out, and it was Wanted. The second issue of Wanted had come out, and who am I talking about? I'm talking about J.G. Jones, and absolutely, that cover blew me away. It's the image of the fox on the second issue. And I remember I was almost in there I didn't realize what the schedule was on comics back in those days. And I was looking for the next issue of Wanted to come out. That book blew me away. Well, I've gotten those books signed over the years, and I've gotten other things signed by him. Of course, J.G. Jones was the artist on the New 52, did all those covers. I think he did some interiors. I'm not sure about that, but he definitely painted all of those covers, and among other things that he's done. But he also did the Black Widow series here, and this was issue #1. And to be honest, you can't even see the autograph. It's right. You can barely pick it up. See where my finger is? He signed it in black on that, and I'm kind of, what I'm going to say after the fact, I should have caught myself and said, no, sign it in silver so I can at least see the autograph. But this is the one thing I got from J.G. Jones. As I said, I've got a lot of things from him signed over the years, but I'd had issue #1 signed with the other cover. I think it's the regular. I think this is the variant, actually. I'm not sure. But I've got the one of Yelena on the other cover. It's the exact same, pretty much the exact same pose. So somewhere in the collection, I've got the matching pair to this comic right here. From there, now, these artists with J.G. Jones and the next two artists were all over at the same group. I think it's Essential Sequential, I think it's the group, and they're all managed by this group. So the artists themselves aren't taking the money, they have people there taking the money. So after I went to J.G. Jones, just down a couple of seats was Dave Johnson, and I didn't have a lot for him, so I did get him to sign the Marvel book, but I also got this beautiful variant cover to Giant Size Black Cat #1, and it was nice talking with him for a few minutes. And I had seen him at a previous con, but I didn't get to meet him because as I was saying, you picked up on the conversation, his line actually was, it was a little busy at his table when I had that opportunity to go by his table to get an autograph, and I was short on time, so I didn't get to stay. I didn't tell him that I put other artists really over him, but it was kind of true. I had went down there when I had a few moments, figuring all I need is 1 or 2 signatures. Like I said, I got 2. I did this book and I did the Marvel book. But every time I went there, he had people there and he was chatting, he was talking with them, and honestly, I didn't have a lot of time left at these opportunities, so I had to skip over him in some of the previous cons that I've been to. But I did get to stop right there in Baltimore, and he did sign both of those books. And then right next to him was Brandon Peterson, who is a fantastic artist, done a lot of work, worked on X-Men and everything, and that's what I ended up pulling. I ended up pulling issue number 300 of X-Men. And one of the reasons I pulled this was it's already signed by John Romita Jr. You can see there's Romita's autograph right there. It's in silver. And then Brandon actually signed in black down here at the bottom. So I had that issue. And then the other issue I had was issue number 304, which was also signed by John Romita Jr. You can see that in the hologram right there. And then Brandon signed right up here on the side. And if you watch the video there, I actually kept the video going for a little bit after I had stepped away. There was a gentleman who is wearing that Usagi Jimbo shirt, and as I'm waiting, as I pulled out of the way so the other person could get stuff signed, I'm waiting for the person from Essential Sequential to come over so I can pay them. And I'm sitting there, and we just got into a conversation. We were talking about different things. You saw it there in the video, and it was super cool, and that's why I left it in there. You get to see Brandon talking about some of the great people in this hobby. We talked about Stan. He jumped in when I started talking about Stan Sakai and just what a great person he is, and he mentioned Walt and Wheezy, as well as just some of those great people who really take time to care for some of the new people in the industry. When they come in, they're very nice. I don't think they do it because for any other reason other than they're just really nice people. And it was cool, and that's why I left that in the conversation right there. I think that was interesting watching some of that. That's some of those interactions and some of those things, tidbits that you get. I don't see on a lot of other channels putting that on there. So I hope you guys enjoyed that part of it. So that's why that ended up being a little bit longer than I would have normally. Normally I would have cut some of that out, but I wanted you guys to see some of that and see some of that insight right there. But the last artist for today is actually, I forgot to hit the camera again when I went up there. But I'm going to put him with this one here because I got him to sign this book as well, and it's really hard to see because he signed in silver on top of the hologram. And I don't know if you can pick it up right there, but I'll just tell you, I ended up going over to Jay Lee's table, and Jay Lee worked on this book as well. And so I got him to sign this. And then I brought some other more current books that he had been working on. One of the last issues of Conan the Barbarian from Titan Comics had just come out. And you've got this beautiful Jay Lee cover right here. You guys know, if you watch my channel, you know that I love this book. I really love what Jim Zub, who's writing this book, is doing. I'm very influenced by the fact that I got to meet Jim Zub a year ago at Free Comic Book Day, right before this book launched. He had a free comic book for Conan the Barbarian that come out that day, and he signed that for me, and I got to talk to him a little bit. And ever since then, I've been a big fan of his, and he's actually reached out on the channel before and made a comment on one of the videos where I was talking about one of the new issues that had just come out. So that was pretty cool. So Jim, if you're watching this video, definitely thank you. I am a big fan and continue to be a big fan to this day. But Jay Lee actually signed a couple other books I had with me, and I brought with me the first issue of Space Ghost. Right there, you see his autograph down there at the bottom. And I have a foil version of that as well, and you can see his signature right there at the bottom. The lights are playing havoc with that. Let's see if I can... Yeah, of course, that's a poor presentation. Let's put this one back in. You can see that. But for this second video today, this right here is a pretty good group of artists. I had a great time meeting every one of these. Some of the people for the first time, some of them for, I've met some of these before. Jay Lee I've met before. Brandon Peterson I've met before. Both of those guys have signed my Marvel book that I've got Otley and Stegman to sign earlier in the video. So didn't have to bring that out for them. But it was a great second group of artists that I got to meet. So guys, I hope you enjoy these series right here. The way it's looking right now, I've got at least 2 more sets of artists that I'm going to meet, and you get to see some more interactions with them. So I hope you guys enjoy these videos. If you do, definitely give me a like, hit the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the episodes that I put out as we go through this whole Baltimore series and then after that. And definitely leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the books I got signed, and if you've gotten to meet any of these artists yourselves. I'd love to know that. So guys, I'm out of here. Have a great day, and remember, every comic has a story.